Hey guys, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Another free cake recipe just for you. Today's recipe is spaghetti sauce soup. This is one of the easiest recipes I will ever post. So, let's get started. The best thing about this recipe is that there's minimal chopping and no food processor required. Once you get all your ingredients together, dice an entire onion. You'll want them diced small. They'll be velvety soft once you're done with them. There is no room for crunchy onions in this recipe. You won't be doing any more cutting, so go ahead and cover the bottom of a clean boiler with olive oil. Once it's hot, go ahead and add your onions. Once your onions are browned or caramelized, it's time for you to add your vegetable broth. You can use chicken broth if you like, but vegetable broth has a much more subtle taste to it. I find chicken broth overpowering in this recipe. Your broth doesn't necessarily have to simmer, but do let it get warm before you add anything else. Now I know some of you are going to laugh at me for using boxed wine, but trust me when I say it's one of the most reliable products you can get. There is no need to buy expensive wine for cooking. Go ahead and add that to your broth and onions. You don't have to stir or let it sit. As a matter of fact, you can go ahead and add the star of the show. It really doesn't matter what kind of tomato sauce you use, but if you have to know, I use chunky. Now when you pour it in, it may seem difficult at first to make sure the broth, the onions, and the tomato sauce are all homogenized, but just keep whisking, keep going, it will happen eventually. Now I do suggest you use a balloon whisk for this. Don't use a spoon, or it will be more difficult. Your heavy cream is next. You can use milk or any other dairy substitute in this, but I always recommend that you use a half cup. Now this will make your soup significantly lighter, but it gives it a wonderful velvety texture. And don't worry, when we let this simmer, it'll get this beautiful orange color. Once it's all homogenized, go ahead and add your seasonings and your herbs. I used cayenne, black pepper, oregano, basil, and tarragon. Not everyone has tarragon on hand, so if you don't have tarragon, just double up on your basil. Depending on the salt content of the spaghetti sauce you use, you might not have to add salt, but if you do, just in case, taste as you go along so you don't make it too salty. Balsamic vinegar is an excellent addition to this recipe. It's tangy, but it's very sweet as well. If you don't have any, I advise you use honey, but never, ever white or refined sugar. It's way too sweet for this recipe. Cover and let it sit for about 20 minutes on low to medium-low heat. Don't forget to taste it. And when you're satisfied, go ahead and remove it from the heat and serve it up in your favorite bowl. Now you can store this in a jar, just make sure it's at room temperature before you put it in the fridge. This is the perfect soup for any time of day. It's velvety, rich, and sweet, and best of all, easy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and spread the word. As always, my lovelies, happy eating. But don't bother ever. Oh, don't bother ever. That is some wonderful grammar right there.